Number 1. Training sabers. Before any Jedi could swing the galaxy's most elegant weapon, they started with something far less deadly, but equally important. Training lightsabers, also known as youngling lightsabers or practice sabers, were the kindergarten crayons of the Jedi world. These low-powered implements replicated the look and feel of a real lightsaber, but with about as much cutting power as a particularly aggressive glow stick. Picture this. You're a 5-year-old Rhodian who just discovered you can move things with your mind. The Jedi Order whisks you away to Coruscant, and suddenly Master Yoda hands you what looks like a lightsaber. Except instead of slicing through blast doors, it gives you the galactic equivalent of a static shock when you mess up. These training sabers were sufficiently powered to cause pain, because nothing says keep your guard up like a zap to the knee, but they couldn't accidentally dismember you during Tuesday's form-on practice. The progression was beautifully systematic. Younglings would start with simple wooden swords, graduate to these low-powered energy blades, and eventually undergo the Gathering on Elam to claim their Kyber crystal and build their first real lightsaber. Some regular lightsabers could even be dialed down to training mode, turning deadly plasma blades into fancy teaching tools. During the High Republic era, these were paired with special training tunics for Padawan dueling practice, because even space wizards needed protective gear when learning not to stab themselves. What's particularly touching is that Yoda kept his first training lightsaber for over 800 years, eventually gifting it to a promising youngling named Kai Brightstar. That's right, the little green ketamine frog held onto his childhood toy for 8 centuries. Talk about sentimental value. Number 2. Temple Guard Pikes. If you've ever wondered who guards the Guardians, meet the Jedi Temple Guards and their distinctive lightsaber pikes. These weren't your average glow sticks. They were thick, imposing weapons featuring rare yellow plasma blades projecting from both ends. Think of them as the ceremonial Swiss guards of the Jedi Order, except instead of halberds, they wielded double-ended energy weapons that could fold up for convenient storage. The lightsaber pike was fascinating in its variations. Some had shafts that extended 2 to 3 meters when activated, emitting what was essentially a shoto blade on a really long stick. The temple guards who wielded these during the Clone Wars were anonymous sentinels, their identities hidden behind distinctive masks, sworn to protect the Jedi Temple with absolute neutrality. They even showed up during Ahsoka Tano's trial, keeping Anakin Skywalker in check when the Council made their decision, because someone had to be the adult in the room. What made these weapons special wasn't just their reach or their distinctive yellow blades, a color that symbolized the Temple Guard's role as impartial protectors. The pike design allowed for different fighting techniques than standard lightsabers, emphasizing defensive positioning and crowd control. The hinged versions could collapse for storage and snap open dramatically when needed, which, let's be honest, probably looked incredibly cool in the temple's marble hallways. Ready to dive deeper into the Jedi's secret arsenal? Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because the Force works in mysterious ways, but YouTube's algorithm doesn't have to. Number 3. Electrostaffs. Now here's where things get spicy. Electrostaffs were the anti-Jedi weapons that actually worked. Mechanically complicated, double-ended weapons specifically designed to go toe-to-toe with lightsabers. Originally manufactured by Bactoid Armor Workshop and Palawan Mechanicals, these babies conducted electricity that could block plasma blades and incapacitate pretty much any organic being regardless of their midi-chlorian count. The IG-100 Magna Guards made these weapons famous during the Clone Wars, serving as General Grievous's bodyguards. Picture this. You're a Jedi Knight, feeling pretty confident with your laser sword, and suddenly you're facing a droid spinning an electrified staff that can not only block your attacks, but also deliver enough voltage to make a Wookiee cry. The electricity wasn't just for show. It created an electromagnetic field that could actually repel the plasma blade of a lightsaber, one of the few technologies that could achieve this without special materials. But here's the kicker. These weren't exclusive to the bad guys. Clone shock troopers used them, Imperial Purge troopers wielded them during the Dark Times, and they kept showing up throughout galactic history whenever someone needed to level the playing field against Force users. Some versions could split in half for dual-wielding action, others had different power settings, and all of them made that distinctive electrical humming sound that probably haunted many a Jedi's dreams. They were even used as fishing tools on silos, because why not multi-purpose your anti-Jedi weaponry? Number 4. Force Pikes. Force Pikes were like the angrier, more violent cousins of electrostaffs. These staff weapons featured vibro-edged heads that could cause immense pain at their lowest setting and cut through durasteel at maximum power. The Emperor's Royal Guards famously wielded controller FP models that could fire purple energy blasts from their tips, because regular pikes weren't intimidating enough for Palpatine's aesthetic. What made Force Pikes particularly nasty was their versatility. They could be modified with magnetic clamps that projected fields to suspend targets in midair, basically turning enemies into floating piñatas. During the Rebels era, A group of royal guards used this feature to trap Ezra Bridger, and it took some serious force-powered boulder throwing to break their hold. The weapons represented a philosophy. You don't need the Force to fight Force users. You just need the right technology and enough voltage. The lighter variant, the Vibro Lance, functioned as both a spear and a melee weapon, popular among various military forces throughout galactic history. During the New Republic era, Senator Ransom Casterfoe even used one to fight an Amaxine warrior, proving these weapons remained effective long after the Empire's fall. The Force Pike embodied a simple truth that many Jedi learned the hard way. Sometimes ancient weapon designs plus modern technology equals a really bad day for space wizards. Number 5. The Guard Shoto. Here's where Jedi weapon design got creative. The Guard Shoto, also called a lightsaber tonfa, was a perpendicular gripped short lightsaber with a second handle extending at a 90-degree angle from the main hilt. Imagine a regular lightsaber and a police baton had a baby, and that baby was specifically designed to make other lightsabers very sad. When wielded by the perpendicular handle, the Guard Shoto excelled at blocking and trapping techniques that would make a standard lightsaber user's head spin. The blade could be pointed outward for offense or swept back along the wielder's arm for superior defensive coverage. This design allowed users to get uncomfortably close to their opponents while maintaining protection, a nightmare scenario for anyone trained in traditional lightsaber combat. The real game changer was when the perpendicular handle was laced with frick, a lightsaber-resistant metal. Suddenly, you had a weapon that could block lightsaber strikes with its hilt, while counter-attacking with its blade. Maris Brood, a fallen Padawan during the Dark Times, famously dual-wielded these against Darth Vader's secret apprentice, proving that innovation in lightsaber design didn't stop with the fall of the Republic. The Guard Shoto represented Jedi adaptability. When traditional methods fail, get creative with your geometry. Number 6. Light whip mastery. Of all the weapons in the Jedi arsenal, none were as controversial as the light whip. These heavily modified lightsaber variants featured flexible plasma blades contained in specialized fields, creating what was essentially an energy whip that could slice, entangle, and generally ruin someone's day in ways a rigid blade never could. The flexible nature meant they required extraordinary skill to avoid self-dismemberment. One wrong move and you'd be performing unintentional surgery on yourself. During the High Republic era, Jedi Knight Vernestra Arwo received a Force vision, showing her how to modify her lightsaber to include a whip mode. She kept it secret for weeks, practicing in private because she knew the Jedi Council would probably have opinions about a 16-year-old wielding what was historically a Sith weapon. The light whip had terrible defensive capabilities, but devastating offensive potential. Its unpredictable movements made it nearly impossible to counter with traditional lightsaber forms. The weapon's dark reputation came from its association with the Night Sisters of Dathomir and various Sith lords who used forbidden forms in combat. Ancient Jedi texts mentioned that warriors like Serval, the Uncanny, specifically developed light whips to counter these dark side techniques. When Vernestra finally revealed her modification to the Jedi Council, they reluctantly accepted it as the will of the Force, though you can bet there were some seriously raised eyebrows in that council chamber. The light whip represented a fundamental truth. Sometimes the best way to fight unconventional enemies is with unconventional weapons. Number 7. The lightsaber rifle. Now we come to the weapon that would make Obi-Wan weep into his beard, Jocasta Nu's lightsaber rifle. This isn't some expanded universe fever dream, folks. This is a canon weapon that literally eats lightsabers for breakfast and spits out concentrated beams of destruction. The lightsaber rifle first appeared in Charles Soule's Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith. Number 9 in 2017. Wielded by none other than Jocasta Nu, the Jedi Temple's chief librarian. Picture this: a long-barreled rifle with an open slot on top where you load an actual functioning lightsaber. Once properly loaded, the rifle channels the Kyber crystal's energy through its barrel, creating overwhelmingly powerful blasts that make regular blasters look like water pistols. Here's where it gets wild. This weapon could only fire about 5 shots before the lightsaber being used as ammunition would melt beyond use. The hilt would literally liquefy from the intense energy discharge, and the rifle would start smoking like an overheated engine. Jocasta Nu discovered this the hard way when she used her own blue-bladed lightsaber as ammunition against Darth Vader in 19 BBY. Shortly after Order 66, those 5 shots were powerful enough that even Vader had to dodge them. And this is a guy who usually just deflects blaster fire for fun. But wait, there's more. The rifle had a self-destruct feature that could blow a massive hole in the Jedi Temple wall. When Nu tried to use telekinesis to trigger this feature against Vader, he redirected the explosion with his own force powers. The fact that this weapon was kept secure in the Jedi archives suggests it was considered too dangerous for regular use, even by Jedi standards. Years later, Luke Skywalker, Ben Solo, and Lor San Tekka found another lightsaber rifle in a Jedi outpost on Elfrona, proving these weapons weren't unique to Coruscant. The philosophical implications are staggering. This weapon literally destroys a lightsaber, the sacred symbol of the Jedi Order, to create a more powerful weapon. It goes against everything Obi-Wan preached about lightsabers being elegant weapons for a more civilized age. Yet here was the temple's own librarian, using what amounts to a lightsaber-powered cannon. Talk about desperate times calling for desperate measures. Number 8. Alternative arsenal. Beyond these main categories, the Jedi and their allies employed various other weapons throughout history. The High Republic era saw weapons like the lightspear, extending the lightsaber concept into a polearm for those who preferred to keep their enemies at social distancing range. Some Jedi modified their standard lightsabers with specialized features, collapsible designs for stealth missions, dual-phase blades that could suddenly extend mid-combat, and even curved hilts for specialized forms. During the Clone Wars, some Jedi experimented with blast swords and vibro weapons when operating undercover. The shoto blade itself, while technically still a lightsaber, represented a different combat philosophy: shorter, faster, often paired with a standard blade for Jarkai dual-wielding techniques. Ahsoka Tano made this style famous, using her shorter shoto blade for defense while her main blade handled offense. What's fascinating is how these weapons reflected the times they were used in. During peacetime, the Order stuck to traditional lightsabers. During the High Republic's conflicts with the Nihil, we saw more experimental designs. The Clone Wars brought military practicality. Each era's weapons told the story of what the Jedi faced and how they adapted. The greatest lesson from this arsenal wasn't about the weapons themselves. It was that the Jedi Order, despite its reputation for tradition, could innovate when survival demanded it. Number 9. Vibroblades. Vibroblades were the galaxy's most common melee alternative to lightsabers, technologically advanced weapons that used ultrasonic vibrations to devastating effect. A compact ultrasonic vibration generator in the hilt made the blade buzz, thrum, and glow ember-hot when ignited, turning even slight glancing blows into gaping wounds. These weapons ranged from small vibro knives tucked into boots to massive vibro swords requiring 2 hands to wield. During the Clone Wars, BX series droid commando units carried vibro swords for one-on-one combat, proving their effectiveness against clone troopers. The Mandalorian kept a vibro blade small enough to be tucked into his boot, capable of delivering deadly blows when pressed into armor gaps. Pirates, mercenaries, and criminals favored these weapons so much that they were banned on many civilized worlds. What made vibro blades particularly interesting was their versatility. They served as both utility tools and fearsome weapons. Unlike lightsabers, which required force sensitivity to wield effectively, anyone could pick up a vibro blade and become dangerous. By the time of the Galactic Civil War, vibro blades remained popular in the Outer Rim, where law enforcement was scarce, and a good blade could mean the difference between life and death. Number 10. Cortosis. Cortosis was an extremely rare metal with a very high energy absorption rate that could withstand lightsaber blows and briefly short out the blade. This mineral represented the ultimate anti-Jedi technology, turning the galaxy's most elegant weapon into a temporary paperweight. During the Clone Wars, Count Dooku and the Separatists attempted to create B-2 super battle droids with cortosis armor that would redirect lightsaber energy back into itself, causing temporary shutdown. The material's most dramatic appearance came in the Acolyte, where the Sith known as the Stranger used cortosis gauntlets and a helmet to devastating effect against Jedi, incorporating the gear into his unconventional combat style. The helmet also protected against telepathy, preventing Jedi from reading his thoughts. However, cortosis had a critical weakness. Despite its effectiveness against energy weapons, it was vulnerable to physical blows, as Padawan Jeki Lon demonstrated by smashing the Stranger's helmet with her lightsaber's pommel. This brittle nature meant cortosis required careful refinement and was often woven into alloys or meshes with more durable materials. The extreme rarity and expense of cortosis meant that by the Imperial era, it had become almost mythical, a reminder that even lightsabers weren't invincible. There you have it, the complete guide to every major Jedi weapon beyond the lightsaber. From training tools to forbidden rifles, from flexible whips to vibrating blades, the galaxy's arsenal was far more diverse than those iconic laser swords would have you believe. Which weapon would you choose? Drop a comment below, and may the Force be with you, because with some of these weapons, you're definitely going to need it.